But it makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense, actually, because in this room, I would actually make a bet with any one of you that I am the biggest failure in this room. I would bet you that I have failed more than anybody else in this room. And it started at a very, very young age. I mean, I can remember I was 10 years old. I got a phone call from the minister at our family church, and he said, "Hey, Carl, this is Gordon. You know, I was in 3rd grade, I guess, or was it 4th grade?" He said, "We'd like you to do the tech every Sunday for church, where you put the mics up and the sound and do all that stuff." And I was like, "Sure, that'll be easy." And he said, "No, it won't be easy." And he was right. I mean, from cables falling out and batteries dying and feedback in the middle of the Sunday service, and there was one guy that would come up, and no matter how good I thought I was doing, he'd always say, "It's too loud." And if anybody sees Rick Brown, please tell him that I've made a nice little career out of that input. But, you know, so that was a little bit of a failure, but I managed to work my way through it. And then, and actually, I had an experience in 7th grade where I went out for, I've told you my basketball story. In 7th grade, I went out for basketball, and I was actually I thought I was actually a pretty good basketball player. My Uncle Kenny taught me how to shoot and dribble, and I was kind of fast and everything. It's going to be a no-brainer. So I tried out and got cut the first day. And I thought about it, and the next day I went into Mr. Boylan's office, and I said, "You know, thanks for letting me try out. I'm just wondering, what can I work on so that next year maybe I could make the team?" And he gave me a couple tips, maybe learn how to shoot, maybe learn how to dribble, get some speed. And I said, "All right, I'm going to start working on that." And the next day, he called me into his office, and he said, "You know what, I've decided I want you on the team. Because I think you might be able to make something and help inspire the guys." I was like, "Okay, great, awesome." And then, of course, we proceeded to lose 17 games in a row, 2 seasons in a row. Failure. And I continued my epic track record. In my high school, actually, right before I started the high school, they were one of the first schools in the state, if not the country, to install a complete color TV studio. And because of my background in the church with all that technology, I sort of got recognized as the guy who knew how to plug mics in and fix when batteries go dead and all that kind of stuff. So very early, I got involved in this color TV studio in my high school. And it turned out that the state of Pennsylvania was so impressed with what the color studio was turning out that they gave us this assignment. They wanted us to do an inspirational video for students to get more involved in extracurricular things and sports and band and all that kind of stuff. And my teacher, Mr. Carlino, said, "Carl, I want you to produce this thing." And I was like, "Oh my God, this is the most fantastic thing. What a great project." So I got to work on it. And I'm shooting things and doing interviews, and we're creating music for it. And we had this edit base, and I was editing and learning how to work all that stuff. And I worked tirelessly for 2 months to get this thing done. I mean, literally, my parents, I don't know if you remember this, my parents said, because my grades were slipping, they said, "You know, what's the deal here? You're sort of out of whack." And I was like, "No, I'm on this project, so I'll try to keep up with that stuff." But I got this really cool project for the state of Pennsylvania Board of Education. So I'm working on it, it's coming along really well, and actually, it was so exciting to me, and I was so focused on it that my teacher, with my parents' permission, would actually, when he would leave at the end of the day, would actually lock me in the studio. There was a bathroom in there, but he would lock me in. Nobody in the school knew. And there was a couch, so I would work all night, and then finally when I couldn't do it anymore, I'd sleep, and the janitor would come in, and he'd wake me up and say, "All right, Carl, you gotta go have breakfast," and I'd come back in. And that went on for about a week. Got this thing done. I don't know if you remember, 3/4-inch videotape, and got it done, popped it out, my masterpiece. My 15-minute masterpiece. And I went in, I put it on my teacher's desk. His desk was always a mess, Mr. Carlino. You couldn't, he's like an Einstein kind of guy. Put it there, went to my classes, going about my day, and I get paged on the school sound system. Carl Deckler, please report to the TV studio. Like, he must have seen my video. Wanna check out this positive feedback. And I walk into his office, and the guy is ashen white. Like, I'm like, what, Mr. Carlino, what's the deal? And he's on the sofa where I would nap, and he's like, you have to sit down. I go, oh no. What happened there? And he goes, you left that tape on my desk, right? And I was like, yeah. He goes, you left it by all the other blank cassettes, right? And I was like, oh. He said, I put it in and taped a school assembly on the master. I had 2 days until I was supposed to turn this into the state. I was like, oh, failure. So I spent the next 48 hours without sleep, with a little bit of food, and I cut the hell out of that thing. I remembered what I had. I had the raw material, and I just had to buckle down and cut it, and it turned out actually better than the original. We turned it into the state. We won an award. It was really exciting, really awesome. Okay? So I had this thing, clutch disaster out of the jaws of disaster. And then, I was talking to my dad about, where things were going to go for me, what was next, and he was like, I really want you to do Up With People. My sister had gone, anybody hear of Up With People? Okay, so my sister did that. She toured around, she became bilingual, Spanish and everything, and it was a pretty cool thing. So he really wanted me to do that, and I really wanted to go to college. And I just wanted to get started with my career. But he really wanted me to do Up With People. But I really wanted to go to college. But no, he really wanted me to do Up With People. But now, Dad, I really want to go to college. Failure, I went to college. Well, actually, I had to start applying. So I started to apply to schools. I applied to Boston College, or Boston University. I applied to, Boston University. But Boston College is cool, too. Emerson, Syracuse, rejected. Remember I said my grades slipped? Well, that also meant my SATs were pretty lame. I think I got points for signing my name. And so I got rejected from these schools. But the one I really wanted to get into, the one with the best poster, with the prettiest girl in the hallway at school, was Ithaca College. So I was like, maybe I'll get in there. So I applied to Ithaca, rejected. But I really wanted to go, so I called up the dean's office and I said, hey, I'd like to tour the campus if that would be okay. A friend of mine wanted to go to Cornell, so we drove up there together, and they said, sure, anybody can tour the campus. So we went. We were touring the campus. As we got to the School of Communications, and I asked the secretary, could I meet with the dean, please? And they're like, well, he's not in right now. And I was like, well, how long till he'll be in? She said, about a half hour. I said, okay. So I kept touring, and I went back half hour, and I got a meeting with the dean. And I said, I just need 10 minutes. So I went in there, and I had a copy of my award-winning videotape. And I said, hey, look, you guys turned me down. You said I was not Ithaca material. But let me tell you something. You're going to have a lot of people come in here who are going to have great grades. They succeeded at the SATs. They're going to show you that they're going to be great students. I said, I'm going to do something more than be a great student. I don't know what kind of grades I'm going to get here, but you're not going to find somebody that works harder. And then after the education, which is what I think you want, I'm going to work to be the greatest alum that this school has ever had. I'm going to try to make you guys proud of the education that I get. And I'm telling you right now that the output that I will show you will be worth giving me this chance to come to your school. He looked at me kind of cross-eyed, kind of like I was an alien, kind of the same way that Mr. Boylan in 7th grade basketball looked at me. And he said, well, look, I have a meeting now. Why don't you come back in a couple of hours, go grab lunch, and then we'll talk. So I don't know if you remember this, but this is 82 or so. This is before they raised the drinking age in New York from 18 to 21 like it was in Pennsylvania. So my friend and I had our first 3-beer lunch legally there in Ithaca, and we sort of stumbled our way back to campus. And I went into his office, tried to gather myself, and he said, Carl, you're accepted to Ithaca. Will you join us? And I was like, absolutely. So I got accepted to Ithaca, and I made Dean's List. I got good grades, but more importantly, I got the tools that would help me do what this is now, what we're creating now. And even more exciting, we funded a program that the School of Communications is doing right now so that the students are creating a self-esteem, body image, and fitness program to help teenage girls feel good about themselves.